Hi singers, today I'm going to recommend to you my favorite reference books for opera. And before I give you the specifics, I just want to take a moment to encourage you, especially if you are a young singer starting out, to begin building your singer's library. It's a terrific and not very expensive way to bring a lot of information and the wisdom of other lines to your singing. So I encourage you to do that. The first one, as some of you know already, is the Covents. This one particular one I have here is the definitive Covents opera book, which was redone as the new Covents opera book from the Earl of Harewood. And the reason that this one really is a go-to book for singers is that it's comprehensive. It has everything in the standard repertoire, basically. French, German, Italian, Russian, Czech, English, American. If it's in the standard repertoire, it's in this book. And the other nice thing about the Covents for singers is that it has not only the date and place of the premiere, but it has a list of the names of the singers, the first initial and the last name of the singers who sang at that premiere, and also the singers who sang at subsequent important premieres in the life of this opera. So it will have usually the New York premiere or the London premiere as well. So the Covents is a great book to have around for singers. Moving on, this is Ernest Newman, Great Operas Volumes 1 and 2. Ernest Newman, there is also a Volume 3. Ernest Newman was the music critic for the Sunday Times for about 40 years, and he has written extensively about Wagner. He's written quite a lot about everything musically, as you can imagine, but the way that he handles each opera in a lengthy essay, longer than you'll find in the Covents, with more musical examples, is really detailed. It's very informative. If you're doing a smaller part, for example, let's say you're singing maybe Frasquita in Carmen or something like that, he's actually going to give you not a line by line, but a blow by blow of what Frasquita is singing about in the card trio, which you're not going to get as in-depth from the Covents. So it's just longer, but also just a really smart guy with a lot to say about each opera. So these don't include Wagner. Just have a side note about Ernest Newman. He wrote so much about Wagner, and he did write books like these about opera. The title is Wagner Operas by Ernest Newman, but it was also published in the UK under the title Wagner Knights. So if you're looking for Ernest Newman, ouch, I'm going to edit that. Can you hear the guitar buzzing? I'll edit that part out. If you're looking for Ernest Newman on Wagner, just be aware that there's also a different book called Wagner Knights by a man named Horowitz, completely different subject, very interesting book also, but not what we're talking about. So I'll probably have to retake this whole thing, but I don't feel like it, so I'm going to go on. This is A Passion for Opera by Peter Fox Smith. This is really a great book, and I knew nothing about it. It's not very old. I don't think it's even 10 years old at this point. I'm not sure, actually. Peter Fox Smith was the announcer for the Met broadcasts for Vermont Public Radio, so if you're from New England, you might know that name. But this is really a personal book. He just talks about why he loves each opera and what he finds delightful and interesting and what to look out for and listen for. I would especially recommend this for beginners, or if you want to introduce someone to opera with a book, this is a great book. I also want to recommend it to singers like me who've gotten tired of certain operas, dare I say, and I'm not going to mention any by name, but if you need a refresher course on why Rossini is delightful, I'm going to have to edit this so much. But anyway, this is a great book. I love this book. Please get this book, A Passion for Opera, Peter Fox Smith. I would also be remiss if I did not mention M. Owen Lee, or Father Owen Lee, as he's also known. His book, general purpose book, is called The Opera Goer's Guide to the 100 Best Operas or something like that by M. Owen Lee. Anything by him also is worth getting. But that book, if you want a single inexpensive paperback to go to for the top 100, that's the one I would recommend for that. So I want to have a little bit of fun now and show you some other older ones. Like I said, this is not an expensive hobby, and if you know someone or you have someone in your life who likes to go to rummage sales or garage sales or whatever they're called where you are, ask that person to please pick up anything with opera in the title, and you'll pay them back the 50 cents or whatever, and that's how you can end up with a lot of books like these. Or cut out the middleman and go to the yard sales yourself. This is the story of 100 operas, a little cloth-bound book. This is the story of 100 great composers. And I love these because I really can imagine somebody going to the symphony or the opera and tucking these in their evening purse to take them along so they can study about the music, and they're just sweet little books. I definitely wanted specifically to talk about Milton Krauss, Complete Stories of the Great Operas. Milton Krauss, as so many of you know, was the voice of the Met broadcasts for 43 years, I believe. And this book is so charming. He really comes through in this book, his affection for the repertoire, and they're just told delightfully well. There also are some cute sketches in here. And I am reading right now Jesse Norman's relatively recent memoir, which I also would like to recommend. And it's called Stand Up Straight and Sing. I think that's the title. And she talks about Milton Krauss, and she talks about, as a little girl, cleaning the house on Saturdays and listening to the Met broadcasts, and how she really felt from listening to those broadcasts that she had been to the opera, because Milton Krauss described it so thoroughly and talked about what the singers were wearing, and she really got an experience from those broadcasts. And he's written many books as well, Milton Krauss, so I think he's worth seeking out for sure. The final one of the bunch, and I will, at the tail end of this video, I will take the time to put a few pictures up of the books a little more in depth, but or I'll put them on the page or something so you can look a little more closely. This one is neat. It's the Victrola Book of the Opera. It's from 1924, and this is when, you know, this new thing, the Victrola, was coming on the scene, and it was such a big deal to publicize the fact that, for example, the Tannhäuser Overture had been recorded, and people were excited about that. And this is really a neat one because it has these great old pictures of the old singers and also paintings, and it's done on this really nice kind of photo-like paper. And I get a sense from this book of the value that people placed on opera at that time, and that warms my heart, and that's a reason to seek out these books and just remember and connect with the lineage in that way. It's a little different, and that's why I wanted to share this stuff with you today. I know we all have our books at home. I'd love to hear what your favorite books about opera are, so please let me know. And thanks a lot for watching, and happy singing, happy reading, etc.